In pro wrestling, it is often said that the crowd, or more specifically the heat from the crowd, is what makes a star or breaks a star. And while there is some truth to that statement, I don't think it tells the whole story. For example, even if a wrestler is over with the fans, if they aren't featured in a compelling storyline, they won't be able to connect with the audience on a deeper level, which will ultimately lead to them being unsuccessful. On the flip side, though, if a wrestler is involved in a good storyline, there is no stipulation, and it's not even taking place at a major pay-per-view. For example, Daniel Bryan had a pretty uneventful Royal Rumble 2014. But when he eliminated Kane, the crowd started to cheer so loudly that it seemed to energize him. Just minutes into the match, the crowd began chanting CM Punk's name. At first it was sporadic, but soon the entire arena was chanting his name. Back in 2011, John Cena was facing a lot of criticism for being a Superman babyface, someone who never lost and always did the right thing. Sometimes they have the opposite effect. For example, when Eddie Guerrero was the villain, the fans hated him so much that they would chant "Latino Heat sucks" whenever he appeared. When they are invested in what is going on, it raises the stakes and makes everything seem more important than it actually is. You might think that it's just another house show match, but when the crowd is going wild, it doesn't feel that way. This chant was so obnoxious that it actually led to the company changing his nickname from Latino Heat to just plain Eddie. Fans felt that it was unrealistic and boring and let their feelings be known. For months, the company had been hyping up the return of the legendary Macho Man Randy Savage. And when he finally appeared on the January 27th episode of Raw, the crowd went wild. The entire arena was chanting EU, yeah, and it felt like old times. However, that feeling didn't last long. During the Royal Rumble match itself, the crowd kept chanting "We want Taker," meaning they wanted to see The Undertaker instead of the recently returned Shawn Michaels. Eventually, the chanting got so bad that Michaels' music was actually drowned out by the "We want Taker" chant. And when he came to the ring, the crowd began to boo. It was clear that they wanted to see The Undertaker and would rather see a dream match between him and the returning Randy Savage than see Michael S. defend his title against the returning Taker. The Undertaker would eventually cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase and defeat Shawn Michaels to win his 6th World Championship. And it was all because the crowd couldn't stop chanting "We want Taker." Eventually, the company took notice and decided to turn Cena into a badass babyface. A babyface who had flaws, but was still beloved by the fans.
Oh.
This change in character was reflected in the fan chants as well. Instead of just chanting "Cena sucks," they began chanting "Let's go Cena," showing their support for this new badass version of the character. The commentators were even getting in on it, which led to an angry Vince McMahon storming into the announce booth and cutting off Jim Ross's mid-sentence. He then got on the microphone and told the crowd to shut up. Of course, this only amplified the situation, and they chanted his name even louder. Eventually, Triple H came down to the ring and told the crowd to calm down so that the match could continue. But it didn't work. They continued to chant CM Punk, until Triple H got on the mic and told them to give the other wrestlers a chance. However, the crowd refused and continued to chant his name. This led to Triple H tapping the middle rope 3 times and telling the crowd that since they were ungoing to shut up, he would give them what they wanted. And with that, he announced that CM Punk was the 4th entrant in the Royal Rumble match. The crowd erupted. As soon as Punk's music hit, he made his way to the ring and proceeded to go on a rampage, eliminating 3 superstars before exiting through the crowd after seeing his wife in the front row. From that point on, he went on a rampage, eliminating 6 more superstars before finally winning the match. So there really isn't any reason for these 2 superstars to go all out. But despite that, the crowd is so into it that it feels like a big deal. One of the most famous examples of this was the Yes Movement, which started out as a fan chant, but eventually became a full-fledged part of the storyline. It first started out small, just a few people here and there. But soon the entire crowd was chanting yes, after Daniel Bryan. This chant would eventually become so popular that the company had to address it on television. After all, it didn't make sense that the crowd was chanting yes after Bryan, considering the fact that his career was at a crossroads and he was in desperate need of a win. And while the yes chant started out as a fan chant, they quickly turned into a full-fledged part of the storyline. It was played up on television and eventually led to Bryan being inserted into the main event of WrestleMania 30, and that's all thanks to the energy from the crowd. This wasn't an isolated incident either. Many house show matches have been elevated by a hot crowd. CM Punk versus John Cena at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia is a prime example. The crowd was so into it that it almost didn't matter that the outcome was predetermined. The noise coming from the audience made it feel real. It just doesn't have the charisma to carry it. They still may find success because of a rabid fan base. But regardless of how talented a wrestler is or how good a storyline is, without the live audience participation, a show can feel flat. Take, for example, the very first WrestleMania. It was a great event overall and widely considered to be one of the best in WrestleMania history. But if you watch it now, you will notice that the lack of crowd participation makes the matches feel lifeless. In today's video, we are going to take a look at several moments in WWE history where the crowd completely took over the show. And if you like this video and want to see more just like it, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button so I know you approve. Also, stick around until the end if you want to hear about the time a fan chant actually changed WWE history.
Now, the first point I want to make is simply that when the audience is into a match, it can make even a house show match feel special. This is because when the crowd is cheering and booing, it gives off the impression that what you are watching is real.
In reality, it's all choreographed, but the energy from the audience sells the idea that what you are seeing is a legitimate contest. Take this non-title match between Randy Orton and Edge as an example. It's just a regular old house show match. There is no title on the line. Sometimes when the crowd gets really into a match, it can make wrestlers elevate their game. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, however, there has probably never been a moment in WWE history where the crowd had more influence on a match than during the 2012 edition. Now, this brings me to my next point, which is that fan chants have sometimes been known to affect storylines. Another example of this is the "Let's Go Cena" chant. But fan chants haven't always affected storylines in a positive way. However, the one time a fan chant probably had the biggest impact on WWE history was at the 2008 edition of the Royal Rumble. Ultimately, a loud, passionate crowd makes every match better. Thanks for watching.